We need executive assistants. We need,
Got to pause and step back a bit.
hum, baby, baby, hum, hum.
Take some space to do some design thinking.
We're a startup. Our ambition isn't to have 47 startups. Our ambition is to have, hundreds of startups.
Welcome to week 2 of Mission Log for D3 2021. This is the third derivative learning journey about how to build a big accelerator. And we've got Bryan to tell us lessons learned. And the thing I wanted to ask you about is all the plates you've got spinning, Bryan. I mean, we've now started on 47 companies. We're trying to support meaningfully with all these corporate and investor partners. You're trying to recruit and find other great ones and diversify the mix and build new business for third derivative. How do you manage it?
Yeah, good question. That's a moving target that we're trying to figure out in real time. We're really proud of what we did last year in getting an MVP launched. This year, we need to work on kind of making the efforts that it takes to deliver on those bold promises, making those efforts sustainable. We risk a lot of burnout on our team and people leaving. And at the same time, we have aspirations of launching many new change initiatives. Climate isn't waiting. Neither can we. We can't sit around and rest on our laurels on just what we've done so far. So we're trying to rework a bit how we operate as a team. It was one thing for us to have a kind of a forced march towards designing and building and launching something. And now we have more balls in the air, more plates spinning, as it were. One of our major thrusts right now as a team is kind of moving from a consensus model, which is how we started, kind of lots of all hands teams meetings, designing user journeys for each of our different constituents and stakeholders, to a more kind of federated model in which we trust and empower subsets of our team really to take on specific issues. That makes sense. A little bit of divide and conquer, but it can be a challenge for a group of people that's so deeply invested in what we've been doing. And we also have to make sure that we don't lose things in the process, right? That we don't start falling down on communication. So we've been spending a lot of time trying to revamp our processes for a little bit more kind of distribution. We've also had to start defining kind of clearer boundaries between different roles. It's very easy for us. We have an explicitly multi-stakeholder model here in which we're trying to bring together startups and investors and corporate partners and policymakers and analysts and wonks all together. And so for each of our team members who has different expertise in those areas, it's easy for them to want to be part of every single conversation, which just doesn't scale very well. So we're spending a lot of time right now trying to kind of build and enforce essentially those kind of definitions and divisions. We've also been taking a look, and this is a useful exercise, and it's the first chance we've had a chance to kind of take a deep breath and do it, really doing some time allocation studies. So trying to understand where different members of our team are spending their time, how scalable that is, and what the gaps are between how we want them to be spending our time. So as a very specific example, we just hired up at the end of last year 2 startup success managers, who are charged with basically being the one-stop shop for all of our startups to help them get the most out of this really broad, complex network of resources that we're providing for them. And we started doing the math now that they've had a couple of months to start working with the startups, and 47 startups divided by 2 startup success managers. Already you have a pretty kind of significant ratio of startups to startup success managers. I think we could probably make that work, but our ambition isn't to have 47 startups. Our ambition is to have hundreds of startups. And if we were just to keep kind of adding startup success managers at this ratio, we don't really have any time or bandwidth to be thinking and analyzing and building and designing our startup success process in ways that kind of scale exponentially, which is what we really want, right? We would love to be able to support hundreds or thousands of startups in ways that didn't require hundreds or thousands of startup success managers. So we're actually in the process, or we're about to be in the process of hiring up some additional startup success managers, even just for this 47, so that we can free up the bandwidth for everyone to be thinking and designing at the same time that we're executing.
Yeah, and what I'm hearing is, even in month 2, because the rocket ship's going so fast and high, you got to pause and step back a bit to keep moving forward and take some space to do some design thinking and get the structure's right and the process is right. And this question of teaming and which teams are doing what, and finding that balance between the independence and everyone involved in everything, and the autonomy to move and get things done. So I'm thinking about our audience here, Bryan, which is other accelerator managers and folk interested in the exercise of innovation, acceleration. And I think that's a key learning. You're constantly doing thinking and planning as well as doing and reviewing.
That's right. And when you have the kind of ambition and motivation that we do and our team does, it's really easy for everyone to get bogged down in the kind of urgent day-to-day of execution. But we have to kind of build the bandwidth and capacity, and to make sure that we are taking a step back and for the thinking and the design, because we're a startup, we're a learning organization. It's why we have these sessions. We need to be constantly learning, processing that learning, and then acting on it. So for that reason, probably our final kind of area of focus here is building out kind of the operations layer in our team. As I say, initially our team was very kind of design and execution focused. Now we're hiring up a head of operations, program coordinator, kind of other operational leverage to help us kind of all work better, faster, stronger, more efficiently, which is, it's probably actually a little bit too late. We should have been a little bit further ahead of the curve with this. We have, right now we have a bunch of our teammates who are asking for, we need executive assistants, we need personal assistants, just because we're spending too much time on administrative tasks. I'll share that my own bias is against a model of just always adding executive assistants. I think it's easy for I would say for organizations to lose their sharpness in that case. People start doing things that they feel like they shouldn't be doing, and they just throw it over the fence and say, let's have an EA do this. Whereas I think we should be much more thoughtful and intentional about designing our work and designing our processes efficiently. But by bringing on the kind of operationally focused experts that we're hoping to do a much more holistic review of all the work that's happening, that needs to happen, maybe that doesn't need to happen on the team, and then optimizing both our people strategy and our processes and tools around executing it efficiently and, more importantly, scalably.
All right, good. Something to check back in on in a couple of weeks, months, whenever.
Yeah, you can hold us accountable and see if we've achieved our goals there.
We'll hear about it in the future and lessons learned. What's the startup of the week this week?
So we'll throw a shout out to another startup that just closed a round of funding this week, Canaan Energy. Cool startup out of Canada that's using waste heat to produce kind of clean baseload power. And interestingly, they're really more of a project developer. So a different type of startup than most VCs find to be venture investable. They're really cool kind of distinguishing advantages. They found a way, they've built a business model that actually requires no upfront CapEx from their customers to launch these waste heat development projects. And so we're super excited to see them start executing, growing, and scaling, because they're probably about 10 gigawatts of opportunity for them in North America alone, not to mention worldwide.
Wow, watch this space. All right, well, thank you. And thanks everyone for watching our D3 mission log. Come back next week for more on the learning journey from the third derivative, world's largest clean tech accelerator.